Here now is Matt Austin and Ginger Gadsden with Florida's Fourth Estate. Sponsored by Light Orlando, delivering hope together.
Welcome to another edition of Florida's Fourth Estate. We pride ourselves on introducing you to Floridians who are doing interesting stuff. And man, did we find a guy in the headlines who's doing just that. He graduated as a marine biologist. Then he got a job at Moffitt researching cancer. And then he just made a big historic find near Venice off the coast of a mastodon tusk. This guy is a fascinating character, Ginger. We're going to have a good conversation today.
You know, I always love when we have a good find like this. His name is Alex Lundberg. And Alex, thank you so much for joining us for Florida's Fourth Estate. We were so excited to talk to you about this big find because it is huge. Tell us a little bit about that day and what you were doing, because it was off the coast of Venice, right?
Yeah, that's correct. So we were heading out looking for megalodon teeth, actually. And so we did our first dive, jumped in the water, good visibility, which is rare for Venice. Usually, you can only see like 5 feet in front of you. And so, yeah, the first 10 minutes, I'm swimming along this reef, and I see what looked like a piece of wood sticking out. And so I swim over to it. I've been fossil hunting for a while, so I kind of recognize it as, it's probably mammoth ivory or mastodon tusk. And so, yeah, I started fanning it, trying to get it out of the sand the best I could. And after a few fans, I saw that it was about a foot and a half in diameter, and I'm like, oh my goodness, like this is a tusk. And so, yeah, I just start, working, trying to find either end of it. I'm, about 20 minutes of fanning, trying to get this out of the sand. I finally get to the tip of it, and I'm like, all right, this is coming home with me today. Like, I'm not going to come back and get it another day. I don't care if I have to bring it out in pieces, but it's getting on the boat. It's coming home. And so yeah, I grab the end of it and I just lift it as high as I can, and the whole thing just comes out in one piece. I mean, this whole 4-foot tusk just standing straight up, just towering over me on the seafloor. And I can hear my buddy. She was with me that day. And she actually got a mammoth tusk from the same spot about 3 years ago. Hers was 8 feet long.
Oh,
so,
What?
yeah. So I mean, if there's anyone you want to find a tusk with, it's her.
what's the feeling when you realize, because it does, I would swim past that and assume it was just a rock or a piece of wood. Once you realized what you had in your hands, what is the feeling?
It was absolutely surreal. I mean, I've been fossil hunting for 20 years, and I never thought I would find something like this. I mean, we find broken pieces of tusk all the time down there, like just small pieces. But yeah, usually they don't stay intact like this. They fall apart or storms break them up. So, I mean, the fact that this one stayed in one piece as big as it is just so surreal and just so exciting.
Yeah, and the place you found it, Venice Beach is known as the shark tooth capital of the world, is what we always say. So you expect to find, I know you like megalodon tooth, but not a mastodon tusk like this one. You were only in about 25 feet of water. That seems like it's not a whole lot of water.
Yeah, so I mean, a lot of people would be surprised, but there's so much more to Venice than shark's teeth. I mean, there's a whole exposure of just ice age mammal bones out there, just scattered all along the seafloor. So I mean, it's not uncommon. A lot of people find mammoth teeth, bits of tusk, ice age horse fossils. There's just all sorts of just crazy animal stuff out there.
Alex, you have to explain to the folks and me as well. What the hell is a mammoth tusk doing 25 feet underwater near Venice, Florida? Can you explain what that area used to look like? I know you're a cancer researcher, but you're also a marine biologist. You're an interesting character. So can you tell me why there's so much stuff out there?
So during the Pleistocene era, which, was, I think, 1.5 to 10,000 years ago, there were a lot of glaciers back then. So as the glaciers increased, it kind of soaked up all that seawater. And so the shoreline extended about 100 miles out from where it is today. And just as the glaciers melted and reformed, just the sea level and shoreline just moved back and forth so much. So the spot we were at, we found a lot of like turtle shell, alligator fossils. So we think that used to be like an old lake or something. Not sure on the age, but we think based on the animals we found, that it's anywhere from 10,000 to half a million years old.
Okay, so when you find something like that, who do you have to alert? Because you have to tell someone. You can't just take it home, clean it up, and then you're like a
Yeah.
mad scientist. Like, look what I got. What is the proper protocol when you discover something like this?
So I do have to report it to the state. I have a fossil hunting permit, which is super easy for anyone to get. It's only $5. I highly recommend it. So yeah, every year to renew my permit, I report it to the state. All vertebrate fossils in Florida found on public land or public water technically belongs to the state until they say otherwise. So, as amazing as that tusk is, the Florida Museum has way better stuff. They have whole skeletons. So hopefully they're not interested in it, and I get to keep it. But we'll see when it comes time to report it.
Yeah. One of the things I love about doing this show is we learn a lot about Florida. We've talked about sloths the size of bears. We've talked about mastodons and mammoths that people had no idea ever existed in this
Yeah.
part of the world. And so it's fascinating to see. I'm curious, Alex, what got you into this? You seem to have taken a roundabout way of finding fossils. What this has to be your passion? Is that the deal?
Yeah. So I actually, when I was growing up, my dad would take us to construction sites when we were kids and just turn us loose, and we'd go looking through the dirt for shark's teeth and fossils. And yeah, that passion just kind of stuck. And then after college, I decided I have adult money now. Let's dive into this full time.
Nothing like that adult money. You can do
Adult
whatever the
money's the
heck you want to
best.
do with
You
it.
can buy
All right.
scuba gear
Okay.
and
So
look for bones.
so where do you have that thing right now, and what do you hope to do with it?
So right now it's actually sitting in a Christmas Christmas ornament box next to
Can
my
we see
bed.
it? Can we see it? Is it next to you?
Yeah, yeah, it's actually yeah,
There it is.
yeah.
Yes.
So
Yeah,
so
that totally looks like a piece of wood
yeah,
to me. I would just swim right past that.
yeah. So I guess I'm gonna try to find a display stand big enough to put it in, and I guess pass it down to my kids or grandkids, whoever wants it, hopefully.
Oh, somebody will want that for sure. I've seen there's a guy up in, I think it's Alaska, who on YouTube, he has this crazy, it's like this mud bog where apparently mammoths and all sorts of saber-toothed tigers and stuff. I don't know if you've seen this guy, but he has a process. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Alex. What'd you say?
Yeah, I think it's Alaska Boneyard or something like
Yes,
that.
that's exactly who it is. And I've seen him and maybe some other people. They come up with these elaborate displays and they seal in the tusks and make them look really cool. So that's the
Yeah.
plan.
Um, I mean, this one's. I'm probably just gonna leave it all natural. Yeah, it unfortunately costs a lot of money to do that, and my adult money only goes so far.
You have to prioritize the adult money.
Yes,
That's for
yes.
sure.
I mean, I think it looks cool in its natural state. It looks like a piece of driftwood, actually. When it is it drying out right now still? Is that what it's doing in that box?
Yeah, so I had to desalt it for a month, just constantly changing the water in and out to get all the salt out of it. Because if it dries and there's salt crystals, it'll cause it to crack and break apart. And yeah, and fully drying out for 2 months now, and it's still pretty stable. So I'm very happy about that.
That's another thing I don't understand about this. If I park my car near a beach, the salt water starts to eat away at it and it makes everything gross.
Immediately.
And like immediately I start feeling it. You see it on homes that are on the beach. Even the doorknobs get rusty and the air conditioning has to be traded out every 4 or 5 years. How is it that this tusk could sit in the ocean water for thousands of years and be preserved pretty well?
So I mean, the salt water actually preserves stuff really well as long as it's not metal, obviously. So yeah, it's the fossils we find out in the ocean versus the ones we find in rivers and stuff like that. Just the seawater just seems to do a really good job preserving them, and the fossils don't really react with the seawater at all, which is nice. It makes them super stable. So I actually prefer ocean fossils to river fossils.
Okay, so is this the coolest thing you've found? And what is it that you are hunting for? Like, what do you hope? What's the holy grail of what you hope to discover off of Venice?
I mean, I think any Florida hunter will tell you saber-toothed tiger, the holy grail of Florida.
So have people found whole skulls, or they just find the tooth? What is it?
I've heard some of the old timers have said they found skulls, but I mean, I think they're like fishing stories. I'm skeptical, but I'm sure they're out there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I see.
show your work.
Interesting. How old are you doing all this? You seem like a history buff, but you're too young to be into all this stuff.
30, so
30 years old, out there finding fossils. What a cool story, Ginger.
Just think of how much more he can find, because he's obviously going to keep doing it. What is your? I know you love doing what you do, and thank you for your important research at Moffat. But if you could just wave a magic wand, and someone says you get to do blah, what would it be?
oh, I mean that's a tough one. Either full-time paleontologist or coral reef ecologist. My,
But hold on, you're not on that track. You're at Moffat researching cancer. What is happening?
adult money.
Wait. Sorry, you cut out a little bit there. Tell me that again. What'd you just say?
Sometimes you got to pivot to make more adult money to kind of pursue your passions.
The pay for paleontology isn't what what it should be, is what you're saying?
The pay for any sort of science in general isn't what it should be.
Yeah.
Which is unfortunate, because you talk about the coral reef, and that is a big issue here, and actually around the world, but especially in Florida, because we talk about the coral reef dying. Does that worry you that one day you're not gonna be able to dive and look for treasure anymore?
I mean, it's definitely a big concern. I mean, even diving off Venice, and Venice isn't even known for its coral reefs. I mean, we see corals bleaching and dying every summer. I mean, it's sad seeing it in first person.
Yeah,
Yeah, that
that's
stinks. That's
unfortunate.
hard. It is hard to see. Hopefully, they start to figure out. We've got a huge coral rescue center, this big warehouse in Central Florida, where they're taking little pieces and trying to at least save it. So if it dies, they'll be able to plant it and keep it alive, so the whole species doesn't die. But I am excited. I don't want to take this dark where we go coral bleaching, but
I know.
I do want to say Ginger does that. She just very negative person. I do, I do want to say that this is exciting, that just off of our coast, which apparently used to be just our state, just another piece of our state, is a very fascinating place to find these fossils that otherwise people wouldn't find. I'm excited for your next find, Alex. When you get the 8-footer, or when you get that saber-toothed tiger, you going to come back on the show and show it to us?
Be the first people, I promise.
Oh, this is legally binding,
My
by
man,
the way.
yes,
This
for
podcast,
sure.
it's legally binding. We see you on another network. We're
Oh,
coming
well,
for
we'll
you.
come. We'll come for you, Alex.
I mean,
Thank
we're not
you
going to
so
do
much.
anything, but we're going to come.
No,
for you.
yeah, we have absolutely no power, but well, we'll try to hold you to it. Good luck in your all of your dreams and aspirations, and good luck finding all sorts of cool stuff out there, Alex.
And
You're a
thanks
cool
for
guy.
sharing such a cool story with us. Thank you.
Guys, so much. I really appreciate you having me on today.
And thank you for watching Florida's Fourth Estate. You can download it from wherever you listen to podcasts or watch anytime on News 6 Plus.